From a kid who thinks math is offensive to a kid who thinks anyone who isn't fat should not be let into school, these are the most insane Gen Z kids ever. Let's go. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this first story Stan. So anyways, there's this girl in class who is not very happy that math is required. And Stan didn't know anything about this until one day, Stan was being dropped off. And, so Stan was being dropped off in the front of school. And normally when you entered school, there wasn't a lot of people on the steps. People kind of more or less hung out inside of the school. They didn't really tend to hang out like on the steps leading up to the school. So it was pretty rare, or just like not a sight you'd normally see, for people to be standing outside. However, when Stan was walking up towards the steps, he saw like some girls standing outside, and it looked like they were holding signs. It was a really weird sight, but Stan, as he got closer, realized that there was like a little mini protest going on. So Stan was thinking to himself, okay, I wonder what this protest could possibly be about. A, something bad happened. There's a case of discrimination that genuinely needed to be brought to light. B, maybe there's a situation where someone's being underpaid, like teachers tend to be criminally underpaid across the board. Or C, math is offensive because I'm bad at it. Well, if you guess C, then you're right. So anyways, Stan goes up, and he's looking at the signs, and he looks at the signs more closely, and it's like, okay, what? Because the signs say, ban math from school, remove math from the curriculum, math is bad, and it's offensive. I don't know, stupid stuff like that. So Stan is kind of an inquisitive guy. He wants to get to the bottom of this. He wants to figure this out, right? So he goes up to this girl. He's like, oh, can you tell me about what this protest is about? And she's like, well, so here's the gist. Some people here are naturally good at math, and other people here are not so good at math. And it's really just unfair for the people who are naturally good at math to have a class that is made just for them, and the people who aren't good at math to have a class made that really just hurts them and makes it harder to get into college and puts a lot of unnecessary stress on us. And we're petitioning to remove it because it's a class that's offensive for that reason. And Stan looks at her. It's like, oh, well, could I just use the same logic of I'm not good at my language class and other people are, so can we ban the language class too? And they're like, no! That's ridiculous. Why would you even say that? And Stan's just looking at this girl bro, you literally just agreed, to my law. I just implied what you said. You said the reason why you wanted math banned was because, some people were good at it and some people were bad. Dude, that's literally every class in school. What are you talking about right now? Yeah, but sure enough, right, the girl is looking at him like he just said, the most insane thing ever. She's looking at them with this look of, you messed up, bro, you don't know what you just did, whatever, right? And Stan is like, what? I just don't get it. And she's like, well, I'll explain it again. So, some of us are not good at math, and some of us are good at math. That's not fair, so we want to ban math. What you're saying is some, craziness. It's ridiculous. Why would we ban language? And Stan looks at her and says, unrelated question, are you good at language? And the girl's like, yeah, I'm pretty good at language. And Stan's like, well, I'm not. She's like, well, I just worked harder in the class. And Stan's like, wait, how do you know that? How do you not know the people that are really good at math just didn't work harder? And she's like, that's not how it works. Okay, you know what? I'm getting a lot of aggressive, hostile tones from you, little guy. Stan's like, dude, what? And she's like, you know what? Okay. It's either you're with us or you're against us. So what is it, Stan? Are you with us or are you against us? Stan's like, well, I mean, if with you means I'm for banning math because some people are good at it and other people aren't, but against banning other subjects because some people are good at it and other people aren't, I think that's pretty stupid. So yeah, no, sorry, I'm against you guys. I can't support the cause. And they're all like, so be it, Stan, get out of here. And he's like, okay. So Stan goes to class and things are pretty normal. The next day, he's dropped off and he walks towards the front of the class. And once again, all these girls are protesting or something, right? It just keeps going. He's like, okay, I thought this was going to be I don't know, a little like thing that they all got together and decided to do for one day, and then they didn't see any immediate results, so they got bored and stopped doing it. He was expecting more something along those lines, but when he gets there, he sees a new poster added to their little roster or rotation of posters that they had. And this one was, as he got closer, he saw his face on the poster, and it said, "Stan discriminated against us." And Stan's like, "Ah, hell nah, bro. I gotta put an end to this." So Stan immediately runs up. He's like, "Dude, what the hell is this?" And he points towards the poster that says, "Stan discriminated against us." Dude, like, do you not see how that could be taken so poorly? And the girls are like, "Well, I mean, look, you did discriminate against us. You're saying that, like, it's totally fine to have math, but, you know, the truth is, we're not good at math, and you are, Stan, so you hate us for that reason, something out of our control." And Stan's like, "Look, I think what you're doing is, like, not right, but can you at least, if you're going to protest me too, which is ridiculous, but if you are, can you please be more specific?" Which, like, bro, I totally get where Stan is coming from, because imagine, like, you just say no to, like, because they ask you, "Do you think math should be banned?" And you're like, no. And then they're like, "Okay, then." And then they write a poster saying you discriminated against them. Dude, that is a very, 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 very broad statement. That is a broad as frick statement, dude. That could mean a lot of things and a lot of genuinely bad things. So Stan, understandably, immediately goes to the principal's office to complain and is like, "Dude, like, they can't be showing that sign around." And the principal did come down, and the principal had been very supportive of the protest, because the principal's like, "You know what? We should let our students express their free speech and their opinions. There's nothing better than that," which, well, I guess, you know, whatever. That's cool. I agree with that. But at least, the principal was like, "Girls, like, you can't have a sign that says Stan discriminated against you," if all he said was he's against banning math. And they're like, "But, you know," that's basically what they said. That was about the logic as well. So they eventually, you know, the principal's like, I'm going to have to take this sign from you." And yeah, but the thing is, right, the girls just kept protesting. And Stan was like so convinced that they were going to be done after, like, the second day. But they came back the third day, fourth day, fifth day. They just kept going, right? And eventually, dude, the school crumbled. The school legit cracked. Dude, they didn't full-on ban math from the curriculum, but they made it completely optional. They didn't make anything else optional, but they made math optional, which, two things. One, you should do hard things in high school that you're not good at. I sucked at language. I was the worst in my language class every single year, and it was so hard. I'm bad at it. However, it's good that I did it, because I did something that was hard, and also the point of high school is to expose you to new things. Also, people who don't take math in high school are going to get boned in college when they have a math requirement, or maybe you go to a college that doesn't need one, but the SAT, which is needed for most colleges, right? There's a whole math section. That's half the points. This high school is screwing these kids over just because some kids thought it was offensive to have math. Completely ridiculous. Let's move on to the next story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this one Kyle. So anyways, there is a girl in Kyle's class who we're just going to call the TikTok girl. She was a Gen Z girl, but one thing that's true about the Gen Z generation, which is a generation I'm part of, right? I'm not going to pretend like I'm technically not, right? It's a generation, bro, that's addicted to TikTok. The only reason you should be on TikTok is following my account at Connor Pugs in the description and watching on my TikToks, but you should do nothing else on there, because it's like more addicting than YouTube. The algorithm is more intense. It's going to fry your dopamine receptors super crazy. You're not going to be able to focus. You're not going to be able to pay attention to anything. You're going to like learn all this fake information. It's going to rot your brain or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so sure enough, this girl was like taken to the extreme. Like maybe you're on TikTok like an hour per day or something insane, which I swear the time on that app flies. That's why I've deleted it so many times. Now I only have it downloaded to re-upload my videos. I just don't go on it otherwise. But dude, this girl has taken the addiction to an extreme, because like legitimately, so Kyle wasn't directly friends with this girl, but Kyle had a friend who was friends with the TikTok girl. So anyways, one day Kyle was sitting down and he was like, "Yo, dude, like there's this girl I'm friends with. Dude, she's addicted to TikTok." So Kyle's friend went on to tell him that, like in class, Literally every single day in class, she would be on TikTok and doing absolutely nothing else. She would just be scrolling on TikTok, watching TikTok videos. She'd either be in the back of the classroom with one AirPod in, or she'd be closer to the front of the classroom just watching on low volume or with like a, I don't know, like the captions on or whatever. And when she would go home, she wouldn't be doing her homework or studying or doing any schoolwork because she'd be too busy watching TikTok videos. The infinite scroll, man. It's an infinite scroll. It's the dopamine button. Look up the rat experiment with the dopamine button. It will change your mind. Anyways, so yeah. And, you know, Kyle's like, dang, that sucks. However, right, this girl just progressively got worse and worse because basically what ended up happening was, you know, she started doing really bad in her classes. Like before, like getting really addicted to TikTok, she was actually pretty good. And, yeah, she just started falling off a cliff hard, dude. She fell off hard. Yeah, so anyways, right, Kyle one day sat down and his friend's like, dude, you're not going to believe this. Like, this is actually insane. He's like, okay, what's up? And he's like, you know, I haven't seen this girl, the TikTok girl, for like the last 2 to 3, 4 days. And Kyle's like, okay. And he's like, yeah, so I texted her being like, are you good? Are you sick or something? And apparently, dude, she failed out of high school because she like would legit not do any of her homework. When she got to the test, she wouldn't know any of the material. She would just fail out of everything. And the school was like really trying to keep her, but they just decided it's too late. Dude, she failed out. She flunked out. She's not in high school anymore. And Kyle was just sitting there like, wait, are you serious right now? Like, apparently this girl was actually on track to do a thing or two, but man, I'm telling you, TikTok addiction is legit no joke. Social media addiction is like a no joke. Sus video online addiction is no joke. Like, it doesn't have to be actually like, you know, elk or something like that, that like, or some other stuff that like you actually get like physically addicted to. This other stuff is really insane. It's really potent. Look, I just want to say there's a few interesting resources you can look up. Look up like the dopamine rat experiment and really think about how many things you're doing every day and think about like the responses to the things you're doing. So we're going to call the final subscriber submitted the story Cartman. So anyways, in Cartman's class, and oh, by the way, yeah, Stan, Kyle, Cartman, that's the theme of the names today. So anyways, in Cartman's class, the teacher basically had them choose a social issue or something socially that they'd like to see change, make a presentation on it, and present it to the entire class. Preferably, right, the preference is that it's not a topic that's normally covered. For example, like, you know, sexism or something like that is an issue. It's, you know, but it's also pretty common. It's a pretty common, likely referenced issue. Like, it's talked about a lot. The teacher wanted them to find something a bit more niche, a little bit more obscure. So maybe something that was happening in their hometown, or maybe just something very, I don't know. He just didn't want a topic that was covered a lot. So, yeah, anyways, Cartman, I don't even know what Cartman presented. Maybe he wanted more cheesy poofs or something like that, but, and his kitty ate them all, so he had to yell bad kitty at the kitty. I don't know what really happened, right? But anyways, so the interesting thing is when the Gen Z girl goes up there. So basically, Cartman is sitting there, and he watches as the Gen Z girl goes up. And real quick, comment Gen Z if you made it this far into the video. That'll be the secret word of the day. And by the way, we're also on Spotify, so listen on there. And if you're listening on Spotify, please rate the podcast 5 stars. I'd love that. The Spotify link's in the description if you're on YouTube, by the way. And so sure enough, right, what happens is this girl goes up there, and this girl starts a presentation. And the presentation is literally saying, this is the gist of the presentation. If you're not a fat person, you should be banned until you are fat, and then you can be welcome back to school because skinny people are offensive or triggering to the fat people. Which, like, bro, what? The most reverse backwards logic ever. And here's the thing. I just want to say a little thing before people, like, start talking in the comment section. I think people online are too mean to fat people. I really do. I genuinely believe it. Look, I get it. Like, it's not like a healthy situation to be in. I'm not budging on that. However, look, I'm sure they know, right? I'm sure they know, right? You don't need some like troll in the comment section saying like, ha ha ha, oink oink, ha ha ha. I see all this shit on TikTok, dude. I'm like, guys, chill out. Like, if you wouldn't say something to someone's face, then don't say it at all. That's just kind of how I go about things. I think that's a pretty good way to go about this, in my opinion. But anyways, right, so sure enough, with that being said, This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, saying that, like, people shouldn't be allowed into school unless they're, like, clinically overweight, and then they should be allowed in because people who aren't is offensive to, like, bro, everyone in the do you know when something is just so crazy? Like, something is so crazy that, like, even the boys literally stand up out of your seat with, like, your head on top, your hands on top of your head, and someone's on the floor laughing. Like, that was basically the reaction of Cartman and his friends in the back of the class, because they're all just like, what the frick, dude? What is she saying? Yeah, because she's basically like, yeah, so basically, it's really, it's really disturbing for, you know, the overweight people here to see anyone who is of normal or underweight. So basically, to make sure that that doesn't happen, we're going to ask that anyone who is not currently overweight to become overweight, and until then, they will not be allowed back in school premises. And the teacher's looking at this girl like, dude, what the freak? And he's like, so, do you see any issues with the teacher? Basically is like, hey, so I know you could say you could do anything, but do you kind of see any issue? Like, what if the roles were reversed here? Like, and, you know, he said, like, to the girl, like, what if, like, you know, people who were skinny were, like, you know, triggered or something, or just upset by people who weren't skinny, and we made a rule saying people had to be skinny or they weren't allowed in. And she's like, well, that's blah, 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 blah. Then she said a bunch of stuff, or, like, you know, standard, like, no, my logic is fine when I use it, but it's not fine when you use it type argument. The teacher's like, okay, you know what? We're just going to keep going with this. We're just, whatever, right? And the teacher kind of looks at her and is like, dude, okay, you can keep, like, okay, that's great. Like, thanks for the presentation. Like, you can, who's next? The teacher was really just trying to get her, off the off from the front of this, like, the classroom, because he knew for a fact that she was bombing, bro, because she was saying the most crazy stuff ever, because everyone in the class was low-key, like, starting to, like, talk and laugh or whatever, because they were like, dude, this is insane. But anyways, right, this girl doesn't get the hint, and she just keeps going. She's like, all right, part 2 of my presentation, like, I have a list of people who I've deemed acceptable and not acceptable. So basically, she just made a list. First of all, this is like an offensive list no matter how you look at it, because either you're on the unacceptable, which means that she wants you banned from school, or she thinks you're acceptable, which she's saying you're overweight, bro. Like, what part of the list do you want to be on at this point? So yeah, and she's like about to, like, because she's like airplaying her, like, her computer to the screen, and it's like showing off to everyone. And she's legitimately about to, like, airplay the list of all the people that she thinks should be banned onto the screen. And the teacher, like, unplugs the airplay device. He legitimately unplugs the device just to be like, no, we're not doing this. That's very funny. Ha ha ha, no. Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.